No, I
because one is short.
no, I covered the civil rights and story and what do you call it, the race riots, and I was next to Bobby Kennedy when he was shot. So I was photographing all sorts of things, and then I did quite a bit with Wings too. You know, I did quite a bit with them, and it was with Paul. One night, Paul, after a show, we're backstage, Paul and Linda, and they're smoking grass, and they hand me the joint, and I take it, and Paul said to me, "Harry, I'm glad you did that," meaning I'm now part of the whole. But you want to know the truth? I didn't inhale. That's true. I didn't inhale.
Sure.
No, absolutely. Meaning I wasn't going to be part of this, you know? Because then it would be difficult to... Anyway.
You and Bill Clinton.
Beg pardon?
You and Bill Clinton.
Me and Bill Clinton, yes, but when Bill Clinton said he didn't inhale, everybody laughed, except me, because I didn't either, you know. So, but I look back on the Beatles as a major event in American in history. They changed a hell of a lot, don't you agree?
Absolutely.
You know, it just like, stop, this is and you can't get past the music. You know, it was so good. And they weren't big-headed, they weren't carried away with themselves. You know?
What about, tell us about the fan mail, reading the fan mail.
Oh, yeah, my wife. The fan mail. Now, I want to ask you, who do you think got most fan mail?
Ringo.
Lequel des Beatles recevait le plus de courriers de fans d'après vous?
Ringo, ouais, je crois.
And you're right, it was Ringo. And you know who got the less? Paul. So Paul was upset with this. Ringo got a big pile of here, and then George was like there, and John was down there, and Paul was about 10 letters. You know?
And mostly beers.
And what was funny about it was that made Paul very angry. Well, it was angry, so, you know, the people, the roadies, you know, the guys that handle all the equipment, they just put it in one big pile like that, you know, to be shut, because Paul was pissed off at it, you know, he wasn't happy. I took him to see Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay, and what happened there was, we get to Miami, I turned on the TV and there's Cassius Clay shouting about how he is the most beautiful man in the world, and he was going to kill Sonny Liston, this guy. You know the story, you know? And so I go to the Beatles and say, I've got this guy you've got to meet. It's Cassius Clay. And I'd already been to him and he had agreed yes. But Clay was smart. So I go to the Beatles and they said, John said, well, he's a big mouth and he's going to get beaten. But we want the other man, Sonny Liston, because he's going to kill him. So I said, okay. I go and see Sonny Liston, who doesn't even look at me. He said, he's tying his boots up, and he said, I don't want to see those bums. I go back in a car, big car, just a big, ugly American car. And we all pile in, the Beatles. Now they think they're going to see Sonny Liston, but I take them to Cassius Clay, who completely ruled them, put them in their place. lie down there, when you lie down there, because the TV camera's on, when I say, who's the most beautiful man in the world, you say, you've all got to say, you are. So who's the most beautiful man in the world? You are. He completely dwarfed them, really completely took over them. After it was over, we're going back to the Deauville Hotel, and they're not happy. And John said, you know, he made a fool of us and it was your fault, Benson. But I didn't care, because the following morning I was going off to Jamaica to photograph Ian Fleming, who had just, you know, the author of the, of James Bond books, and the movie had just come out, Dr. No. So after I photographed Fleming, I went back to Miami. The Beatles had left, and I covered the fight. And then I joined up with the Beatles later, a Hard Day's Night, or in Amsterdam, I can't remember where, but you know, they'd forgotten all about them, because Clay was now the greatest black man in the world, you know. And we got a question, please? Yeah?
Was it hard to, you know, you like to keep your distance with your subjects. Was it hard to keep your distance with the Beatles?
No, it was easy. That was, I keep my distance because of a few reasons, but one of them is that if you get close to somebody and you're having dinner with them, they could say to you, oh Harry, that picture of me in the bubble bath, please don't use it. And now I've got a problem, because somebody is now assumes he's my friend, and he's not my friend, and now I've lost one of my best pictures, you know, because now you're in a spot because of this new sprung up friendship that doesn't really exist. All I am is, you know, the reason they see me is who I represent in my back pocket, and you know, what I'm carrying. You know, I mean, the magazine or the newspaper, that's what I mean. So I'm always uncomfortable getting close to people, you know, because of, please don't use this and that. And, but the Beatles, and that never came up with the Beatles, you know. Even when they had girls in the room, and most of the girls the Beatles had, I'll tell you now, were ugly. No, absolutely they were ugly, because Brian Epstein made sure that no 15 or 10-year-old got through, you know. So the people on the road would, you know, the roadies, or what you call them, the nice guys, would keep them out. But one night George orders a bottle of wine and it never came. So he goes down to Neil Aspinall, Mal Evans, who were the guys that looked after them, and there's a couple of other guys, and they had, when George and myself went into the room, the girls there were absolutely gorgeous. They had kept all the nice little ones to themselves, and they're for the, you know, for the road guys, and the Beatles are in there with, you know, like 40-year-old women. You know? This wasn't their idea, so there was a terrible row and all shouting and screaming. It was nasty, you know, threatening to fire them out. So, you know, anything else you want?
Thank you.
What?
On va peut-être faire une dédicace.
Yeah, I think people are going to come to you and,
Yeah.
and talk to you personally if they want.
No, I haven't bored you, have I? No, you're not bored. Bored you?
No.
What do you like the digital photography? Are you still taking pictures?
Oh yes, yeah.
And do you prefer the digital now or the old film?
Well, these are black and white. And as you see, I mean, I think black and white was the photographer's medium, was the photography, because for hundreds of years artists had colour, but one thing the photography had was black and white. Was solely, you know, was for the photography. And when people talk about photography, they usually always say they like black and white better. Mind you, I'm using digital now, but really the black and white, the colour in those days was absolutely awful. You know, really. I mean, if this was in colour, they'd all be pink, light pink, or getting worse. You know, it'd be by the minute. You know, it was just a fact. So now the colour is terrific, but I'm glad my career was done in black and white. And the little tail off now, old gentleman view, you know, is I'll do colour, you know, it's fine. Does that answer your question?
So you still have your